Hi, guys. Thanks for checking out this week's interview. I have Charles Burke on the interview series today. Thanks for coming out, Charles.
It's a pleasure.
I appreciate
it's a pleasure
it.
to be here. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, Charles is an ex-nightclub owner, the Black Bottom Jazz Club in Montreal. And he's here today, give some insight into his club and also into the world of jazz music. Had some heavy cats come to his club. So, Charles, do you want to say a little bit about your background and history of the Black Bottom Jazz Club?
There was never jazz in coffee shops, so I said I'm going to open up a coffee shop, but I'm going to start
jazz,
and maybe I can play drums in it. So I opened up the club.
Yeah.
And there was a guy in Montreal. God bless him in the grave. He got sick, and his name was Nelson Simons.
Yeah.
If he wasn't if he wasn't playing, he was practicing. So we opened up this little club. It was called a coffee shop. It was on St. Antoine Street in Montreal. I would open up at late, so the other clubs would come. When the clubs closed, they come.
Right. Come to your place
to play with Nelson.
Yeah.
This guy was a monster, man. If you couldn't play, if you didn't know your music, don't even come up to jam.
Yeah.
Because when Nelson got through with you, man, some guys gave up their music and got a job. That's how this guy was so
crazy.
You could look him up, Nelson Simons.
Yeah.
We're packed Thursday, Friday, and Saturday we're open.
Yeah.
We're packed every year. We're packed. And Nelson, they heard about Nelson. George Benson is performing at the Place des Arts. He comes down to see. Miles Davis is performing at the Place des Arts. He comes down and looks into the guitar.
Yeah.
And nobody could believe this guy, Nelson. Count Basie, they all want to take him. He would say, I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready yet. I said, Nelson, you got to go. He said, I'm not ready yet. So eventually, after 7 years, the area on downtown Lower Montreal got expropriated. I said, I was hoping that you would become a superstar and I would move on. I wanted to open up a chain of Black Bottoms.
Yeah.
But anyway, and he never moved on until he got sick and eventually died right in Montreal. He never went no place. And people were calling him. Duke Ellington, Count Basie, Miles wanted him. George Benson as good as George Benson was, he wanted to hire Nelson.
Wow. Yeah.
Anyway, so I was expropriated. They gave me a certain amount of money and said, get out of Dodge. I opened up the Black Bottom, and I opened up with, I said, I'm going to everything.
Yeah.
I was married by now, had 2 kids.
Right.
I clean up the club, and one day I'm cleaning up, and I get this phone call. A promoter called me.
Yeah.
He said, "This is the Black Bottom." I said, "Yeah, it's Black Bottom." He said, "Is the owner?" I said, "I'm the owner, Charles Burke." He said, "I got a proposition for you." He said, "Would you like to hire Woody Herman for 10 days?" I said, "Sir, I can't afford 18 pieces."
Yeah.
He said, No. He said, here's the thing. We're in Plattsburgh, which is just out of Montreal.
Right.
He said, we were doing a college date, but it was canceled. And we got to get back to New York. So we need to get gas money for the bus. So what we'll do is we'll come in.
Yeah.
Woody will come in for 2 days.
Yeah.
And you can take the door, and we'll take the admission. I said, well, if that's the case, no problem. He said, anywhere from up to $8 to $15 back then. $15.
Right.
And my place holds 180, the new place.
Right.
I said, well, let's go, man. So,
let's do it.
We did 2 days, 2 shows a day.
That's
Man,
great.
the place was packed. I made so much money. Woody was happy. The band got the money for the bus. They went back to New York.
Yeah.
So I'm saying, damn. because I was hiring local guys, So now that the word is out, I get another call. He said, I'm the manager of Miles Davis. I said, no. He said, would you like to have Miles Davis? I right away, I said, look, I can't afford.
Yeah.
He said, you're going to get him. He said, we're going to give you a deal.
Yeah.
For 10 days, cost you $10,000. So I said, well, shit, if I can get Miles for 10, even back then, Miles was playing,
Yeah. Major venues.
Major, like the World Paris and all that shit.
Yeah.
So I said, who's in the band? He said, Tony Williams. I said, you're kidding. He said, Herbie Hancock. I said, you're serious? I said, what? So I said, bring him in. Man, he came for 10 days. Boy, the place was super packed.
That's great.
And I also was serving soul food at the bigger restaurant.
Yeah.
I was serving chicken wings at the older, but I had a big menu. Soul food, ribs, black-eyed peas, all kind of soul food. So the band gobbled that up, man. So at the end of the gig, Miles sends his manager. He said, Miles wants to settle up and you go for the food and take the food out and give me the $10,000.
Yeah.
So I took $10,000 US, put it in an envelope, and I gave it to the guy.
Yeah.
To give to Miles. Guy goes and he said, I told you to take out for the food. I said, you tell Miles that he is my idol, man. And it's a pleasure. It's a true pleasure for me to feed him.
Yeah.
Next thing, the guy says, Miles wants to talk to you, man. I said, what? So I go there and Miles says, man, I can't you all my years in show business. Nobody ever gave us like you did. Because it was a couple levels all over the food,
right. Yeah.
He said, here's my number. When you get to New York, you call me.
When you opened the venue, it sounds like you were really driven by
your
passion for jazz.
Man, I loved it.
By being able to share this art with so many people. And then, food and service were almost an afterthought. Even though you made the, North America famous, chicken wings.
Yeah,
New York famous.
Yeah, no, you're right. The food was an afterthought, but no, it was a good idea because a lot of people came. Even Miles came for it. They would hear about the jazz, and they'd hear about the chicken, especially in America.
Yeah.
These soul food restaurants were big.
That's awesome. Like just being able to provide the best food, and then also just have great musicians that people want to come and enjoy. And
that sort of fortified the music,
Yeah.
Because the jazz. I remember I did an interview, and they said, "What is jazz?" I said, "Jazz is black-eyed peas and rice and chickens, man. And chicken, ribs."
Yeah.
Because man, you ate some serious food, and then you would get up and play your music, and your choruses was mostly about what you went through during the day.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thanks very much for coming out, Charles.
It's
Appreciate it.
It's been a pleasure.
Get to share a few stories about your time at the jazz club, and meeting some pretty heavy jazz cats. Thanks for checking out this week's interview, and subscribe to hear from more weekly musician interviews and hobby musicians, club owners such as Charles. Thanks, guys, again, and have a great week.